It was around 5 this morning where the owner of the trailer right behind me could hear someone trying to forcefully enter his home. Now, once the intruder gained access, to his surprise, the homeowner was armed and opened fire. Now, several shots were fired, and if we can zoom in to the side of the trailer, you can see where investigators went ahead and circled each one of those holes. And then, now the witness goes on to say that she saw the wounded intruder take shelter right over here behind this abandoned house next to the trailer. And if you look closely, once our camera gets around there, you can see where there's blood left behind, obviously as a result of his injuries. Darla?
Dalfred, some of our viewers may be wondering at this point, will the homeowner face any possible charges?
Well, we just spoke to Sheriff Bobby Guidros just a minute ago, and he says that the homeowner most likely will not face charges due to the fact that he was protecting his home and his property. Now, on the other hand, the intruder, if he survives this incident, can face a multitude of charges, including home invasion and attempted murder. Yes, good morning, Acadiana. We interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you breaking news from a tragedy here this morning at the intersection of Happiness and Gilman Road in Lafayette. Now, we have been told by officials that there is one confirmed fatality, and as we arrived on scene, our cameras were rolling and we heard more gunfire. We're still here on a very active crime scene near the area of Gilman and Happiness in Lafayette. Now, the Lafayette Police Department arrived on scene around 10:30 this morning where there was one fatal confirmed, and here to catch us up on the details is Lafayette Chief of Police Jim Kraft. Chief, can you... Bullet holes, casings, and crime scene tape are all that's left behind after an early morning shooting here on Emery Lewis Street in New Iberia. Yeah, well, Blue, as we go ahead and give people a background of history, so here's what we know. Former CEO of Knight's Oil Tools, Mark Knight, was arrested for having drugs planted on his brother's vehicle. It looks like state police have confirmed that the suspect is in police custody. Now, we don't have the exact details as to how exactly what happened, but we knew that, according to Sheriff Bobby Guidros, they weren't going to stand around too much longer. So it looks like they made a move, and some of that activity that we may have seen back there. Here at the Maurice City Hall, Mayor Wayne Terrio will share an idea that would require property owners to pay a $150 permit fee for the installation of culverts. Engineers come to town and gather a few details on the property, probably none more important than the village's drainage system. That determines the slope of the culvert to ensure the proper flow of water. Here you can see where investigators have marked the path of the vehicle with this orange spray paint. As we travel down the road just a short distance, you can see where the vehicle jumped the curb onto this property before going down another block and entering the playground of Center Street Elementary. As you can clearly see, the swimming pool here in West End Park hasn't been maintained for several years. In its current state, city officials view it as an eyesore and a hazard, but to the members of this community, it's a part of their history they wish to preserve. A Franklin Parish football player has died from his injuries sustained at a Friday night game. According to Franklin Parish Sheriff Kevin Cobb, he will not be identified until his family has been informed, but he is reported to be a freshman. This is a developing story, and we will bring you more information as it becomes available. Lafayette Utilities and Cox Cable officials are working to improve a downed power line near the Acadiana Mall area. Several businesses in the area are affected by the outage, and some streetlights are not operating properly. Use caution in the area. Topping our look at news this evening, Lafayette police are looking for 2 suspects after a shooting near the UL Lafayette campus Friday night, leaving 1 person injured. Police say it happened around. Earlier today, authorities in St. Landry Parish made a startling discovery. Roughly 2,000 animals were found at a man's home in Lawtell, majority in poor condition. And we have an update on the case of missing Florida teen rescued here in Lafayette after a police chase from Iberville Parish. Florida detectives are heading to Louisiana.
News 10's Dalfred Jones is on the scene.
There's always been an issue with drainage along this section of North Parkerson Avenue.
Finding solutions to your issues.
TV 10 just went the distance for us, and we're very appreciative.
Dial Dalfred, only on KLFY News 10.
We spoke to the parents of Austin Revo for their first television interview since their son Austin was killed. Only 2 words came to mind when Judge Rubin issued the sentence.
Shock.
Discuss.
They clearly do not agree with a 13-month sentence.
That's an insult.
No, it's an insult. That's
13 months. Austin was worth more than 13 months.
Any life is worth more than
more.
13 months.
Of the 13 months, Seth Fontenot was sentenced, he'll only serve about 40% of that time. Some argue if the time he'll actually spend incarcerated is too little, too much, or if it's even legal at all.
I think it is an illegal sentence. It is a lenient sentence, too lenient, and that's what the law says, I think, and therefore I'm going to pursue a little bit further with the Court of Appeals and see what happens.
16th Judicial District DA Bo Dewey says to suspend any portion of a sentence for manslaughter is improper because manslaughter is a crime of violence according to Louisiana Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 893. But defense attorney Tommy Gilbo and Fontenot's parents feel Judge Rubin got it right.
He was a person who accidentally killed one kid, and that is a tragedy, beyond an unspeakable tragedy.
It was a horrible accident that he will forever live with for the rest of his life.
Some Acadiana residents have a difference in opinion about Fontenot's sentence.
The idea that this tragedy, two kids wounded, one dead, for some reason it doesn't seem right to me.
Carol Brolio knew Seth from his younger days at St. Edmund Catholic Church.
I think he was a good kid that made a bad decision, and I'm glad I know he's suffering, his family's suffering, and I'm glad it wasn't any worse than what he got.
I reached out to Judge Edward Rubin so that he could clarify why he feels that the sentence was appropriate. Unfortunately, he is unable to give a comment on the case. In Lafayette, Dalfred Jones for KLFY News 10. It wasn't long after the first incident that more shots of gunfire rang out. That victim was shot at the intersection of St. Antoine and Gilman before driving to the 700 block of Gilman, where he fell into this nearby ditch before being able to receive medical attention.
He was found to be shot several times and has been transported to a medical facility, receiving care there.
At that point, police expanded the perimeter and called in for additional assistance from Lafayette's sheriff's and marshal's offices.
Because we were continuing to receive reports of shots being fired in different neighborhoods.
Just south of Gilman Drive on Carver Street, police responded to a third shooting where they found an empty gun clip. No injuries were reported. While police continue to search for a connection between these incidents, some residents have already connected the dots.
Every family hurting, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's what I'm seeing. Nobody's winning. Everybody's hurting at the same time.
Yeah. Others have much closer ties to the victim in Friday morning's fatal shooting. Joanne Kelly's son, also the victim of a deadly shooting, was his friend.
He's the same guy that was holding my son 2 years ago, and my son got killed here on this very same street. And this is a hurting thing, to come see his best friend die.
By the airing of this newscast, police tell us that the second victim is in a local hospital where he is listed in serious condition. Reporting in Lafayette for KLFY News 10, I'm Dalfred Jones. Well, we're here at the home on the corner of Maple and 4th Street here in Eunice. And as you can see, the outside of the home is pretty badly damaged, but the inside is a complete and total loss. Now, fire investigators left the scene about an hour ago, but the crime tape is still up as they're hoping to preserve any evidence that may point them in the right direction for some answers. It was just after midnight Sunday when firefighters responded to a house fire here at 750 South 4th Street in Eunice.
Upon their arrival, they discovered a body of 3 people in that home.
The mother, 39-year-old Carla Watford, is believed to be responsible for the fire. Chief Butch Browning says Watford shot and killed her 16-year-old daughter, Julia Watford, and her 9-year-old daughter, Jaya Watford, before starting the fire, then shooting herself.
We have recovered a weapon that we believe was used in this crime. We also recovered the evidence of chemical accelerant that was used to set the fire.
Eunice Police Chief Randy Fontenot delivered a message from the family of the deceased.
Carla was not a bad person. She was a good mother. What led her to do this, we'll never know.
Beginning early Friday morning, loved ones brought flowers and balloons to show support, but some are still having a difficult time believing what happened.
I think shock is the first thing. Disbelievement, it's hard to understand also why things happen, especially for children.
Others shared sentimental moments when remembering a friend.
She was always so nice to me when I was hurting. And she always tried to help me through my problems, and I love her and I miss her.
Julia Watford was a senior at Eunice High School. Now, this week is homecoming week, and the principal, Ms. Fontenot, says that in Julia's honor, something special will take place at each of this week's homecoming events. In Eunice, Dalfred Jones for KLFY News 10. As you can clearly see, the swimming pool here in West End Park hasn't been maintained for several years. In its current state, city officials view it as an eyesore and a hazard, but to the members of this community, it's a part of their history they wish to preserve.
You're destroying our history. This is part of us.
Michael Bell is a longtime resident of the west side of New Iberia. Although his mind is filled with childhood memories of the pool, his main concern is for the children of today.
This pool is going to be closed, so the children in this area are going to have to walk or get away across the bayou.
New Iberia Mayor Hilda Curry says the pool has been a hazard in the 2 years it's been closed. She says if the city had to buy dirt and haul it to the pool site, it would cost about $150,000.
It's beyond repair, and we have an opportunity with the Armenco Canal project to use the dirt from that project to fill in the pool at no cost to the city.
Bell says funds allocated to Parks and Recreation should be used to repair the pool or even replace it for the people of New Iberia to enjoy.
The mayor said the pool was a danger. The city council said it was danger to our children. How can it be? The only time it's a danger to our children if it's left empty like it is.
In an effort to have their voices heard, community leaders and residents will host a protest here in West End Park on Saturday. In New Iberia, Dalfred Jones for KLFY News 10.